the Inverness Iniesta. We'll talk about him in a bit. Old Swerving Irving, as we might like to call him. Well, call him what you want, I don't care. Before we do that, I just want to say something here. I didn't mean to upset anybody earlier on. I tried to make it really, really clear in my video earlier. Literally, the first thing I said was that Everton had approached West Ham to try and flog us. Calvert-Lewin for 37 million, 130 grand a week. I said in the video, we'd said thanks, but no thanks. He was too injury prone. West Ham weren't interested. It's just, there must have been some cross lines or something, because there's an awful lot of people in the chat saying, I cannot believe West Ham are interested in Calvert-Lewin. We aren't. It wasn't about that. It was just about how ridiculous the valuation of him was by Everton. Anyway, there you go. So hopefully that explains it. Last thing I want to do is upset anybody on this channel. Let me tell you that much. Got an additional treat today. I was expecting to watch West Ham play in a friendly, to sit on my sofa, to try and keep the kids occupied, doing something else. Well, I sat down and watched the football. Little did I expect this football match to be accompanied by a comedy duo, a comedy double act. It was quite magnificent. If you watched the game, and you had the privilege of paying £5 to watch West Ham against Dagenham, then you would have enjoyed, well, I say enjoyed, I think they annoyed a few people, but it was magnificent. They were so incompetent, the two people commentating on the game, that I'd have paid a tenner, never mind a fiver. Also, I probably should point out that money did go to Dagenham and Redbridge. There was a few people again online I saw saying they didn't want to pay it. They couldn't believe the club were asking for it. It wasn't. It was going to Dagenham and Redbridge. And it wasn't even broadcast on West Ham's hub. They just put the link on there. So just sit there and make that point as well. I would have paid a 10. I might have paid 15 quid, quite frankly. This was brilliant. Forget Neville and Carragher and all this stuff. This is the stuff I want. Not only did they not know who the West Ham players were, they didn't even know the Dagenham and Redbridge were. I don't think that they'd given any of that money over to a commentary team. I think they got a couple of blokes out of boozer, and they plonked them down, said, there's your microphone. It was exceptionally poor yet hilarious. They had... one of their strikers was, I've put his name to it, I think his name was Greg O'Cox. I'm not pretending to know the Dagenham and Redbridge team. I'm not commentating on the game. One of the commentators called him Reece Oxford. And then he got corrected, basically, by his co-commentator. This after about half hour. And he said, oh, no, yeah, I think Reece Oxford, he used to play for West Ham, and he corrected him, and then he still got it wrong. It was brilliant. We had a Julen Lopetegui. We had that. We had wonderful Lewis Guillem. Spelt like Liam, said like that, Lewis Guillem, that was brilliant. In fact, we had two Lewis Guillems, because every time Maxwell Cornet did anything, that was Lewis Guillem as well. And I don't think they knew who Maxwell Cornet was. Understandable, actually, to be fair. We'll get, excuse me, I just move the camera a bit. We'll get to that in just a bit when we'll talk about the players. It was marvellous. Even one, they've got a player called Ryan Hill. At one point, Ryan Hill went on a dribble. The commentator said, excellent dribble there by Damon Hill. It was superb. There was so much of it. They really could have, what did he call? I think Jason Ward-Prowse at one point. That was brilliant. Said Konstantinos Mavropanos perfectly. But yeah, couldn't say Ryan Hill, funny enough. But anyway, there you go. It was there was quite a lot to enjoy. Every time, Maximilian Kilman, brilliant. And Emerson Palmer. He did say Palmieri a couple of times, but then he said, I think Emerson Palmer's gone off. I didn't know he was on in the first place, mate. Brilliant. Anyway, that was honestly wonderful. Right, let's talk about how 4 minutes. Hopefully you indulge me on that. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. Right, let's go with the team. How did they play? Casey played at right back. Started off, thought he did okay. Again, disclaimer, I'm not reading anything into this. It's a fitness exercise. Lopetegui himself, or Lopetego himself, has said that he is he's only going to take things seriously when we get to the United States. It's all about fitness as much as anything else. Maybe they're trying to drill players in positions, but there's some players playing out of position. So yes and no. Casey, yep, thought he did well. He's not a right back, but he did okay there. He certainly did. So that was okay. Zuma, he's not going to be able to play in this system. I'm sorry, he's just not. At walking pace, I said the other day, fine. He's not going to be able to play in this system when it's high intensity. He just ain't. I'm pleased. The more I see a Kilman, the more I'm pleased. Again, he's not being tested, not by Dagenham and Redbridge or whoever they were, not in the least. But I think what it is clear is he's a technical player. Good long range of passing as well. I do wonder if he turns out to be what Nathan Gerd should have been. I'm not going to go through every player. There's no point talking about Emerson. Potts and Orford in the middle. Again, both made a little mistake at the start. Recovered from it well. Orford, really good range of passing. Actually, very, very impressed. Potts was okay as well, by the way. You know, didn't anyone down. I thought Ward-Prowse was quite impressive on that way. Lewis Guillaume. For those of you that, that's Lewis Guilherme. But Lewis Guillaume, it's Guillaume. Yeah, anyway, he actually had a really good shot with his right foot. Nothing to write home about. I thought Marshall looked really decent, actually. Really decent. Didn't get as much service as he'd want, but his link play is really good. Looks to have filled out a little bit from whence I saw him last. And Maxwell Cornet. Look, I'm not reading too much into this, but this is an opportunity. It's like I said when me and Gio did our Patreon. We did a little player ratings video over on Patreon the day after the match against Ferencváros, and I said then in that video that basically he's going to have to. The pressure's on him. You know, he's going to feel hard done by. The pressure is on him to try and perform. I did think he was a little bit out of position. And whilst a lot of people, the pressure's not on him, it is a little bit on him. He needed to be impressive. He needed to really show Lopetegui what he could do. He hasn't. And what can I say? I actually thought Emerson Palmer, I thought he was actually better on the left wing than Cornet was, who got to play at least a full half. The first half on the left wing, so I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't play much of a part. But I'm not being overly, not judging it on just that. I'm judging it with last season and everything as well. Anyway, you're not here to hear about those players, are you? I know why you're here. I know why you tuned in. You're not here to talk about a commentary team. You're here to hear me talk about one player in particular. Well, I can confirm that Wes Fodringham kept another clean sheet in the second half. He was assaulted, by the way. Assaulted, did you see it? He was assaulted in the second half. My Wesley, Wesmeister, clean sheet Fodringham, assaulted. Not having that. Tell you that now. Put in a complaint. Don't mind the commentary team being incompetent, but I'm not having Wes Fodringham assaulted. Anyway, who else we got? A Gerd played. Cresswell came on. Kelly came on a little bit second half, later on in the second half. And Mavropanos, can pronounce his name, of course. Skulls got a little outing as well. Urfi did as well. We'll get to the man. I'm not saving it till I'm saving it to the end, like the roast, like a roast potato in a roast dinner. Do you know what I mean? I'm getting the broccoli out of the way first, right? So anyway, so yeah, Kudus played. Ings, looked knackered actually, to be fair, but still looked a little bit too skillful for them. But some nice touches. Ings, Mohammed Kudus is just a monster. He really is. He is just an incredible footballer. I know I'm not telling you anything you don't know, right? But my word, he's just incredible. And no, not just against Dagenham and Redbridge. We spoke in the video, it was a video this morning, wasn't it? About what Kudus had been saying. I'm a winger, I want to play on the wing, and blah, 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 blah. I think he's going to be able to do what he wants. He said in that interview, Kudus, that he did yesterday, that he wanted to improve on last season. I thought, that's going to be tough. He got a lot of goals last season. And I thought, to improve is going to be tough. Maybe levels of his performance, but his output. I thought, that is going to be hard. I think he might do it. I think he's going to be in for a barnstorming ripschnorten of a season. It's going to be a humdinger, quite frankly. Swashbuckling season. So yeah, that was good. All right, let's get to it. Let the dog see the rabbit, eh? Irving. Invisible Irving. Invisible Irving no more. The unknown Iniesta. I can't think of any others at the moment. The Highland Hullet. You know what I'm saying? He scored the goal for the 1-0 winner. Swept it home. No triggers broom. Actually swept it home with his left foot. Curled it with his left foot top corner, top bins to you youngsters. Really impressive. Really, really impressive, actually. And passes with the first touch. Have you noticed that? I've not seen anything of him. He was definitely the invisible, unknown Irving as far as I was concerned. Looks, he's a little player. Little cheeky player. Just as I was about to go live, but I'm not live, I'm pre-recorded. I just clicked, basically, I clicked on Twitter, X, and it just popped up. Just a bang, just I pressed it, and it's my mate, Mark Carlaw, who of course is the presenter for the West Ham Way. And I saw he'd done a tweet, which has disappeared. Sorry, Mark. I'd probably go back and like it. I did like it, which is why I'm saying it now. He said I'm getting Craig Dawson vibes. Craig Dawson vibes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely right. Look, we've seen him play against Ferencváros. We have seen him play against Dagenham and Redbridge. He's done nothing. I think he's already turning into a cult hero. We've got a fashion line coming out, obviously, at Hammers Chat about Irving. Swerving Irving. Wow. I mean, we did put some swerve on this shot, by the way. Pretty impressive stuff, has to be said. Plays with his head up, which is good, bit of a bonus. His head up, his eyes open. Decent. Yeah, really, really decent. I like the look of him. Think he looks good. You can understand it. I actually did, there were times, even during the first half, I thought Orford's and Freddie Potts looked good as well. You can understand. Bearing in mind we still haven't got Alvarez back. It looks like, Paquetá. Ward-Prowse played well, as I said. You can understand why we let Flynn Downs go, particularly at 18 million. It probably was the sensible decision. Because you're probably not going to get 18 million for Irving. You're certainly not going to get 18 million for Potts or Orford. I wouldn't want to take any money for them. I want to see what they can do. Anyway, so sort of made sense, really. Still say it. I'm not sure. So what we learned? We learned a little bit more about the system, don't we? About Lopetegui's system. We just get a little bit of a closer look at it. And whilst we're not learning loads, we can see the positions people are taking up and stuff like that. Struggling to see a role for Thomas Souček in this, has to be said. I may be proven wrong, but I am struggling. It's definitely seemed to be one of the midfielders plays slightly deeper than the other one, and then you've got very much the number 10, which is what Ward-Prowse is playing. But I wouldn't be surprised if Ward-Prowse isn't playing the number 10 when it starts. I don't know. I am reading too much into it now. But I just, if you look at it, say there's 3 positions there, like the number 10, if you want the, and the two holding players. They're not both holding all the time. One of them is more like that, like what Alvarez would be, and the other one's just a little bit more advanced. So, interesting. Anyway, I enjoyed it. The commentary was spectacular. It was spectacular. There's no doubt about it. I honestly could not get over that. I found it so bizarre how this guy didn't really know all of the Dagenham and Redbridge players' names, but clearly he goes there. Clearly he is a Dagenham and Redbridge fan, so there's a lot of stuff he did know, but his knowledge base wasn't there. And I am not one to talk about getting players' names wrong, but I would like to think over the period of time I would get West Ham players' names right. Or at least try. That's why I double up on the Paquetá, just to cover both bases. But that was... it's just weird how there was so many current West Ham players he hadn't heard of. Like, so he was saying, this Maximilian Killian, he used to play football for England. Yes, he was actually non-league. He'd been at Maidenhead. And yeah, he's signed for West Ham from Wolverhampton Wanderers for big money. He was surprised. Didn't know this geezer was. Didn't know Max Kilman from Adam. Honestly, didn't know him. But he'd heard of Reece Oxford. And that in itself is magnificent. But Lewis Guillaume, and not at any point... So I've got to say this thing as well. Not at any point did anyone correct him on Lewis Guillaume. The other thing was, in the second half, they had to switch cameras. So they were using this camera, and this camera was panning round from right to left. And it was the sort of normal broadcast camera position that you'd be used to. but just on the left was somebody else was filming. So they were clearly up in a gantry or something. And for the whole game, you could see, so basically it was somebody filming like a more how, so you could basically see somebody, so someone had a camera, but you could see this much. So there'd be the game going on, you could see this hand and this bit of the camera. Now what would happen was, in the second half, every time it went over to there, the camera would autofocus, the main camera would autofocus on that. So basically all the players, it was focusing on something a lot closer, so everything behind was fuzzy basically. It was like that. It's changed now. But so they had to switch cameras. It was brilliant. The commentary was fantastic. They couldn't work out how to do the autofocus on the camera. This was magnificent stuff. But I don't begrudge them a penny of the £5. It wasn't even a £5. I did begrudge them a penny. I did. Because I only spent £4.99.